Alright class, now we're going to start going over in SQL Server how to do these CRUD operations using SQL queries. So I have SQL Server Management Studio installed on my computer, so if you ever want to interact with a database, a SQL database at least, if you're using a SQL Server database to be explicit, you can use other things for other database technologies, such as if you're using like a MySQL database, you could use a WAMP stack, and that comes with a version of SQL installed, MySQL. But this is more of an enterprise database technology, which is SQL Server. And then a way to interact with your databases, and I just have this database in particular installed on my local machine that I created myself. I downloaded Microsoft SQL Server, or Microsoft SQL Server 2016, I believe, onto my computer. So now I can interact with its database locally. It's not required for you to do that. You'll have a database file for you that you can install on your machine. You don't need any sort of special technology to get to it, so don't worry about all of this SQL Server Management Studio. I simply want to take you through the CRUD operations and script out some of this stuff for you, see how it looks like here, rather than having to go through a PowerPoint or anything like that. So I have this users table, and if I select the top 1,000 rows from it, I can see, and it'll select the top 1,000, user ID, username, password, date created. This is just a table I made just to do some simple select statements on it and stuff like that. So if you ever want to do a new query on a database, you can see that I have this database called main here on the left that's installed on my desktop. So if I go ahead and minimize all this, I have this desktop database or instance that I created. And then off of this instance of SQL, you can see I have SQL Express is this exact instance of SQL. I have multiple databases set up. It comes with system databases such as master. That doesn't look like it has any there's some tables in it. Try to expand this window. But the database I made is this main database. So if you expand main, you can see all of the tables in the database. The only one I made custom is this users table, and it's in this DBO schema, which is just how you can categorize things. DBO, anyone that has DBO access to the database, which is database owner, can have access to this users table. And then once I selected top 1,000, you can see in this bottom pane that it selected all of the records in the table, which I only have 2 right now. But it built out the select statement for me. So if I ever wanted to select maybe from this table, but I don't care when it was created, I don't need to include the date created on here, I can simply select those columns and highlight them and hit execute. And you see in the pane down at the bottom, it no longer includes that column here. And if you ever want to, if you're using this software and you have multiple things here, you can highlight it and hit execute, and it'll only execute what was highlighted. F5, if you hover over this, you can see execute as an F5 as well. So if you never see me hit execute, I'm just hitting F5. If you want to filter, I'll go ahead and get rid of this select. If you ever want to filter what you're selecting, you can do this, then add a where. Then I want to filter where user ID is equal to 1, and then it should only return the record where the user ID is 1. And you see that it returned only this one. And you can filter under any column in the table. So if there's multiple records with the same username or the same password, it will return only those records, the same date created, whatever the case may be. You can order by, so it's easier with more than one record to show that. So let's go ahead and insert a record into the database. So this is the create portion of the CRUD operation. This is the read portion, so that's the CR. So let's insert into my users table. And I want to insert, first, if you remember from the PowerPoint presentation, we need to include the columns we're going to insert. So I'm going to insert username, user password, and date created. Then I want to insert in the values into those columns. I'm going to put in the same username, which obviously if this were a system it wouldn't let me do this, but just to show the select statements I'll do it. Now let's make it a different username actually. So I'll do that. I'll do a password, which never store a password as plain text. You should always store it as some sort of hash, but just for the sake of a demonstration here. So this is a string, so that's why I need to surround it by quotes, just as you would in C#. Same here, and this is a function in SQL just to get a date value. So this is just getting the date of today. So I inserted those records, and you're probably wondering why I left off a user ID, and that is because if you script out the table, script table as a create and a new query window, if I script out this table, you can see that user ID is an identity, which means it's a primary key. And when I have 1, comma 1 here, that means that every time a record is inserted, I want you to take what was inserted the last time and add 1 to it. So now, when I select everything from the users table, I should have 3 records. So 1, 2, and I did put in a third record, but I deleted it, so that's why this is 4. So now, if I change this where user ID, I say where user password equals, I'm going to have equal the password that I put in. Now 2 records should be returned. Oh, I guess this lowercase password also got returned. So let's go ahead and do a delete function. No, let's change this password to something else so I stop getting this one back. So let's update dbo.users, and I want to set the user password equal to set it equal to this, where the user ID equals 2. So let's go ahead and do that and run it. It shows that 1 row was affected, so let's go ahead and select everything from my table again. And now you can see that this has this password. So now let's go ahead and select everything from the table where the password is password. And now I only get these 2 rows back. So again, selecting. As far as a CRUD operation is concerned, a select is equal to read. We have an insert here, which is equal to your create. We have your update, which is equals to your update. So again, R. Not very good at this backspace thing. Create. It's a little bit out of order of CRUD, obviously, but and then lastly we have our delete function, so we can delete from my users table. I want to delete where the user ID equals 4. And remember, in my video I said it's always a good idea to select. Kind of do this same thing here, but do a select. So let's select star from DBO users where user ID equals 4. You can see that only one record comes back, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. One row is affected. Now let's do a select all of them again, and now I only have my 2 records again. So coming back here, this is your delete function, or the D of CRUD. So here's select, being able to read from the database with a where. You can also do with an order by. Let's insert a record in our table, but instead of this, let's do John Doe. Let's change the password to what's a password? Football. Let's go ahead and execute. Let's select. So here's John Doe. So if you wanted to maybe order the results, they're already kind of ordered. So let's insert somebody with an A. ABC 1, 2, 3. Let's insert that. Let's go ahead and do a select again. Now when we do a select, let's not do the where. Let's simply select everything from users in order by username. That should be fine. What don't you like about that? Okay, so now you see we did an order by, and we ordered by the username. So ABC was first, etc. So if you ever want to do an order by, you can order by any of the columns, ordered by date created, which if you have a primary key that is ascending by 1, that'll just order by the primary key essentially, since these are put in with get date. So that's kind of the same thing. Make sure you have a where on your delete, so you're just not deleting an entire set of data from your table. And as far as the CRUD operations are concerned, that about does it. Another important aspect of relational databases, let's see if I can do tables. Let's actually go ahead. Do I still have this table scripted? Yeah, I do. Let's do a new table. Might actually, yeah, let's not do that. Let's just do a new query. So let's create DBO orders. We'll go ahead and have an order ID. Let's have a user ID. And then we'll put a date created on there again.